Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today, I thought we could do a skin focus video. It's been a little bit, I haven't been focusing on the skin because now I have this beaming glory of acne-free skin, which probably won't last for long now that I've called it out, so let's just enjoy it while it's here. Today's video, before we go any further, is sponsored by Hourglass, one of my favorite brands. You guys already know. I love them so much. So Hourglass is a cruelty-free luxury brand. It's one of my favorite brands because I feel like they don't just thoughtlessly pump products into the market. All of their products feel very intentional, and they just feel like there's thought that's going into them, there's care that's going into them, and it shows throughout like the quality and the packaging and just the whole experience of the brand. So I love them. Today, I'm so excited. I said recently in a video, I think it was my 2019 favorites, that there's really nice products coming out in 2020, and this is one of those products. So Vanish Concealer, magnifique. Okay, so this is an extension to the Vanish line. So they have the Vanish Stick Foundation, the Vanish Liquid, and then the Vanish Flash like highlight sticks as well. So this guy is full coverage, but it's still super lightweight. It's waterproof to last through the tears and pain, Vegan, cruelty-free. So Hourglass is going completely vegan in 2020, which is pretty exciting. It's the future, guys. It's taking over. The veggies are taking over the world. Okay, enough talking about it. Let's get into the video. I'll show you guys how this bad boy works, and we will do this together. It's exciting times to be alive. Let's go. Let me tuck my hair behind my ears so we can really get into this. I'll zoom you in a little bit. Well, this simply isn't tall enough, is it? I've grown over the holidays, okay? So we are going to be foregoing the Becca under eye corrector because I want to show you guys this concealer just on its own. So sorry, Becca, for I have forsaken you. So I'm going to be using two colors today. I'm going to be using the color Silk, which is kind of like more of a color corrector for me. It has a little bit more peach to it. And then I'm going to be using the color Oat. So I'm going to dot some of each on my eyeballs for the perfect mix, because it wouldn't be a skin video if I didn't mix my stuff together. Okay, taking a little bit of Oat, and I'm just going to do some little dots there. And then I'm taking Silk, and I'm going to do two little dots there. Ooh, that wasn't a noise. That was a noise and a half. Okay, and I'm just going to grab my little beauty blender. I like to start in the middle and then kind of keep it concentrated right on that inner corner while I have the most product kind of built up on my sponge. So I kind of go from the middle and bring it inwards so that I'm keeping all that coverage right there, because that's where I have the deepest, like darkest circles. And then once I have less product on my sponge, because I blended it all out over here, then I kind of blend out towards my outer perimeter. Okay, check it out. We have our concealed eye, we have our non-concealed eye. So I like this guy. Maybe I'll zoom you guys in just like a touch closer just so you can really get like a vision here. So the reason I've been liking this concealer so much is because I feel like it looks really nice and thin on the skin, but also I have been back on my bullshit, okay? I've been trying to not set my concealer anymore as well, just because I feel like for some reason my mascara transfers when I set it, but when I don't set it, it doesn't. It makes no sense, okay? According to science and history. So this one doesn't really need like to be set with a powder for me. I do have dry skin for reference, and I feel like it doesn't tend to like crease or like bunch up in my under eye bags. That one's for you guys that comment on my Canadian accent. There's nothing I can do about it, okay? I was born here. Okay, so same thing on the other side. Just dotting on my little colors, and then I'm gonna blend out here. And then I like to kind of just take my concealer across my big red nose to kind of start a little bit of a pre-conceal action. So I've been using this one predominantly underneath my eyes and then just like on any other areas that I have a little bit of redness because I've had clear skin lately. Knock on wood, guys. Everyone, you're gonna need to do this with me. It takes a village for my skin to be clear, okay? But when I do have a spot pop up every now and again, I really like that concealer on it because it does like set. So I can put it, like I like to do my concealer first and then put my foundation over top, and I feel like it kind of like holds on really, really well. Some formulas are like too creamy and they stay creamy for too long, so they never really end up setting fully. So then when you kind of go to like put your foundation over top, it just kind of moves around that coverage, and then you're not really getting that concealing that you're looking for on spots. But I find that this one works really nicely. So I like to do my concealer first because I do like a little bit of a lighter coverage foundation. So when I do this, I find that it blends a lot better with my foundation. Whereas if I was wearing a high coverage concealer and I put it on after my foundation was done, you can just kind of see a little bit more of like an obvious separation between the two product and the difference in coverage. And that's the Vanish Concealer for you guys. I've just been loving it. I hope you guys really dig it if you guys end up picking it up. If you do, you just let me know. Let us move on. So I'm gonna take a little bit of a lighter coverage. Well, actually it's not really that light coverage. It's more of a medium. I'm gonna take my beauty blender and I'm going to start kind of towards the center of my face with that product. And then as I have less product on my sponge, I can kind of start working towards the outer corners of my face. So I like focusing that coverage towards the center of my face, first of all, because it brightens my face, and then we can go through and like contour the rest of the face on the outskirts, but also so that we're not having like this really intense line if your foundation doesn't happen to match perfectly, because whose does, okay? I'm just gonna say it. And it's the truth, so you can just come at me, all right? It is written. And there's nothing we can do about it. I like to have that focused towards the center, and then once we have less product, you can kind of start to move that towards the outer corners so that it's a sheer application towards kind of like the outskirts. I'm just gonna take a little bit of that over my eyes. When I'm doing a skin focus and I'm not going to be doing eyes kind of thing, I like to take my foundation over top of my eyelids rather than my concealer, just because I sometimes find that if you take your concealer, especially one like the Vanish one, it's so much more high coverage that it looks almost like too covered all the way around your eyes. Do you know what I mean? So I just like it to be a little bit of a lighter coverage on the top here, unless you're dealing with some more noticeable kind of pigmentation there. And then I'm just gonna set my lids with a skin tone shadow. So you can see that concealer kind of just ends up blending really nicely into that foundation once it's put over top, and that is our foundation and concealer partnership taking place right in front of your eyes. Okay, so I'm not gonna set my under eyes, as I mentioned. I'm gonna jump right into my contouring. So I'm gonna be taking my Westman Atelier Face Trace Contour Stick in the color Biscuit, also known as the only color they have. So hopefully they will expand this range, because the product is lovely. I really, really adore it, but it's just lacking in the shade range department. And by lacking, I mean there is no shade range. There's one color. Okay. I'm gonna take my e.l.f. 105 brush that is moderately clean, but it's been cleaner, and it's in its lifespan. It is legendary, this brush. I just adore it so much. So I'm gonna take that and I'm going to dip. I'm gonna just sort of slide my brush across the top of that to pick up some product. I like to kind of pick it up on one side of the brush so that I'm not having it like all over the top. And then I just go in and I start stippling right on my cheekbone there. If you are somebody that notoriously ends up just kind of either applying really heavy-handed or blending down too far, you might want to start by applying that higher than underneath your cheekbone, just so that you're not dragging it down so far. When people feel like their contour or bronzer looks muddy, it's more so an issue of them having blended it down too low, so they're not keeping it kind of like precise enough in that area. So just kind of paying attention to your bone structure. I do end up blending down a little bit lower, so I like to take it if this is like right underneath my cheekbone, I kind of apply it right there, like right above that, so that I have that little bit of leeway to blend downwards. So I just sort of stipple that on, and then I can do sweeping motions or buffing motions, whatever I feel. I also personally don't like to take my contour right down to like, some people take it right to their mouths. I think that's a little bit much for every day, maybe for photos or something like that. But I think that can just look a little intense on most people's faces. So when I am applying my skin, when I'm applying like a skin focus kind of makeup and I'm not going to be doing eyes, I like to just sort of bring a little bit of that contour or bronzer color sort of sweeping right up from that outer corner of my eye, just so that we're not getting sort of like this intense division of color. So if you concealed or put foundation over top of your lid or whatever, you don't want it to look like this like circle of like lightness and then have like this perfect C curve, you know what I mean, of bronzer or contour. So it's kind of nice to just like bring those together. So you're almost doing it in a little bit more of a 3 shape around this area. A lot of people do the 3 shape here. I don't like to bring contour bronzer usually around my face like that unless I have a foundation that's just not matching properly. That's the only reason I would usually bring that product down there. But otherwise I don't like to. So keeping that 3 shape right here. That also just gives a little bit of structure to that eye area without needing to go in and do like an eye look. So then once I have like little, like basically no product left on my brush, I kind of just go around and like buff a little bit tighter into the center of my face, and I'll stipple kind of on my cheeks just to make sure that we're not getting like any like harsh, intense lines from that contour. If you've taken it down too far, you can take your beauty blender or your foundation or whatever that you used, your foundation, your brush, whatever tool you use to apply your foundation, you know, and you can sort of stipple underneath there, and that's that. This one is a little bit more kind of cool, like neutral toned. I'm going to take a powder bronzer, just do a little sweep. I'm also going to take what's left on my brush here, which again is virtually nothing, and just kind of stipple it across my nose. If we are keeping that coverage and lightness to the center of the face, sometimes it can look like just too bright. Your nose is like this like beacon of light on your face. So I like to kind of stipple across because I don't end up contouring my nose, because for me that's just not a realistic time for day to day or ever, frankly. And that's my truth. I'm gonna grab my Hourglass Nude Bronze Light. So this is just a very, very light bronzer. Like when I swatch it, oh God, you guys must like be so annoyed, but I can't get over face products that look like nothing when you swatch them. That's what it looks like when I swatch it. Virtually nothing on my skin. This is what I look for in a product, okay? Whether it's like a bronzer, a blush, I just don't care. I want it to look like practically nothing, because if I go for a bronzer that's really dark, it's going to look really dark on my face. So I'm going to have to either work backwards by having to kind of like stipple over top of it with foundation after, or apply a super light hand and just be like way more conscious about how I'm applying a product. And I find that this may seem counterintuitive, hear me out, okay? I find that the more conscious you are, the more conscious you have to be while applying face products, almost the worse off you are. That's when you end up getting separation that looks like too intentional. Like it looks like a really intense kind of like contour line and a really intense highlight and a really intense blush, because you're having to be so conscious about applying that product. Does this make sense? Are you hearing me? Okay, I'm gonna take this very light bronzer and I'm just going to dot a big old brush in it, and then I'm just going to dot that over top of our kind of cheek area, and that one I'll sweep down maybe a little bit just to add a little bit of warmth. And this also has a little bit of like a glow to it, which is really nice as well, because it's still a powder. So for those of you that are oily, I just brushed that into my eyeball. It wasn't a pleasant feeling. Those of you that are oily, it's kind of nice to have a powder that has a little bit of glow to it. If you still like a little bit of glow but you don't want the grease, then that's sort of a nice alternative. So just dotting that over. Same thing, I can take that over my lids a little bit if I feel so inclined. Do you see what I mean? So that might still be like a little bit more intense than you'd like to apply your bronzer, but I like that I'm not having to be like because it's such a dark bronzer, you know what I mean? You can kind of just sweep it all over and it looks a little bit just kind of more diffused. It's not this really, really intense, harsh bronzer contour line. That's that. Now, I'm going to take the man, the myth, the legend, Hourglass Dim Infusion. I've forced so many people to buy this because I think it's what the world needs. Again, this is a blush that looks like nothingness on my face. My hand, this is a hand. But I'm gonna take that on a little fan brush. This is a Hakuhodo F6141. And I'm just going to tap off any excess and just apply that right onto the apples of my cheek, and then I can kind of just sweep it into my bronzer area. I like that it has that veining in there because that kind of like beigey color has that luminous, well actually the whole thing has luminous. Someone was getting annoyed in my comment section of one of my recent videos being like, she makes a mistake in every single video. It's almost like it's intentional. I wish this life was intentional. I like that it has a little bit of luminescence throughout the blush so that that didn't focus even slightly, so that you're getting a little bit of that glow, even though again it is a powder. So it's not looking super, super flat, which makes it look kind of more cakey on your skin. It looks really nice and thin and beautiful. See? The lightest little blush. It's not anything crazy. Did I already do this side? If I did, let's get another layer. Okay, I'm gonna take my Anastasia Liquid Glow in the color Perla. Oh, look at my eyelash squished under this bottle. Oh, poor angel. It's very sad. Well, that doesn't have much of a curl anymore. Oh, very disappointing. Okay, such is life. Taking a wee bit of that on my beauty blender. So I'm gonna grab that right on the tippity top of my beauty blender, and I like to spend some time working that in to my sponge so that it's not this huge glob of product right on the top. Reason being, that's gross. That's why. Just kidding. The reason is that this gives you a little bit more control over where the product is gonna go, as well as like how much product you're applying. So you can kind of slowly layer up that glow rather than having a huge like blob of it and then trying to like blend it out once it's already on your face. So I like to just kind of make sure that it's soaked nicely into that sponge. Go in a nice little, kind of a J shape more than anything. And I like to just take a look at my highlight from the side so I can see if there's anywhere where it needs to be more blended or if there's anywhere where it looks like there's a harsh line. So sometimes if I've put that highlight down and I feel like there's a little bit of a harsh line like there is right there, I'll take a clean part of my beauty blender. Like sometimes I'll just kind of like almost bend my beauty blender, wow, in half like that, and then sort of diffuse that line with that rather than continually taking that tip that has that highlight on it and blending up further and further and further, because it can start to look kind of weird. Oh yeah. That's our skin, you guys. So I love a nice bronzed look, you know what I mean? Someone commented recently, they were like, I feel like it's always summer on Sam's channel, and I was like, perfect. That's what I've been trying to emulate this whole time. Okay, I'm trying to pretend that there is some vitamin D in my life. So I like a really nice kind of like bronzy sort of diffused look. I love having that glow, obviously. So in every product that I opt for, I needed to give me some kind of like glow pearl situation. Whether it's a cream or a powder, I just don't care. I needed to have some kind of thing that's gonna look moderately reflective on my face, because I want you to understand how moist I desire to be. But I can't because my skin's so dry. So there you go. Okay, I'm gonna take a little setting spray. I've been using my Becca Skin Love setting spray, and I've just been, my skin's just been loving it. I feel like it works quite well. It smells divine, and I feel like it actually does hold my makeup on longer. I've become a big believer in freaking setting sprays. I'm really eating my words there because I didn't feel like they did the most. I didn't feel like they did as much as everyone else was talking about. And then I hit age 25. And things just started shifting in a way that I wasn't quite prepared for. So anyways, that's a sad true story of my life. So I'm just gonna spritz a little bit of that on my face. And then I like to take this extra little fan and fan my face like I'm fucking Kim Kardashian or something. So that's my skin. Let me give you a nice close-up. How about that? Everyone loves a good close-up. Put some brow gel on for my close-up. Beauty mark application. Let me do this with a mirror because I've kind of been doing it like a little like off-center lately. Let me zoom you in. So here we are. See what I mean? We don't have any, I mean, in my opinion, it's up to you to decide. You can be the judge. I like that it's feeling nice and diffused in my eyes. Nice and glowy. I don't really care too much about trying to conceal or like color correct my acne scars because what an undertaking that I just don't care to, you know, sign up for. So I just kind of let them live their lives. To be honest, they just hang out and, you know, add a little bit of an edge to my face. So yeah, I'm pretty sure chicks dig scars. So there you have it. So anyways, that's that. Loving it. You guys let me know what you think. It's a nice little glowy skin situation. I have to look up at this. I have a monitor now. So I used to have a monitor that was like right beside my camera, so it looked like I was always looking into my camera, but now I'm like, looking good, Sam. And it looks like I'm looking into my bright future. Well, I hope you've enjoyed this close-up. Okay. All right, you guys. So that is my skin focused video. I would love to know what skin products you've been loving on lately. I'm always in the market, always in the market for new skin products. Here's hoping that 2020 brings us the most creams. It's a world that I want to live in. And it's a world I'd like to force you to live in with me, okay? Huge thank you to Hourglass again for sponsoring today's video. Thank you to you guys for supporting me as always. Definitely go check out the new Vanish Concealer. It will be available everywhere that Hourglass is normally available. Oh, it launches January 10th. And if I do this video on time, this video is out on January 3rd. So you have time to prepare yourself. All right, you guys, I will see you next time. Peace out.